it's one big game, which is really funny. Like, I've heard this before. We've all heard it before. Life is a game. Life is a book with different chapters, beginnings, endings, all the different metaphors of what this existence can be or mean. We're going to focus on the topic of games right now because it's hilarious. So, games in general, the word games implies a fun thing. Could be a group activity, could be a solo thing, but it's something that is to challenge the mind and create a space for action and celebration, or action and passion, right? And I'm saying these really broad topics because, just like Disneyland, not all games are fun. Not all games people like there's certain types of people who like certain types of games, and so on and so forth. Just like Disneyland's a great theme park overall if you like entertainment of many varieties, right? Lots of people go there for the rides. Some people go there for the characters or what have you, but everybody has a reason, and not everybody likes the same stuff there, which is fine. And that's what this life is, right? But the games, oh my God, the games. So, where do I start? Because it's like a love-hate relationship. I have a love-hate relationship with games as it is. There's certain games that I like. They got to be simple. They got to be fast. I like group games. I like solo games. But the simpler and the faster, the better. So, like, card game like War. Love War. Go Fish. Crazy Eights. Actually, I'm a fan of online Monopoly, but not the board game Monopoly because, right? We have a game that my kids and I play called Unstable Unicorns, which is really fun. But it is such a passionately played game that we have to actually have a safe word for it. So when things get too rowdy, Mom has to say the safe word, and everybody knows to chill out before the board gets tossed, right? So aspects to games. Some games can be fun. Maybe the way you play it is fun. But this is like, what if the design of the world was to like, okay, so this is where it's going to spew off into many different spaces from games. So I've heard that when making the plan for coming down here into this existence, our souls and other souls come together and formulate these plans, these contracts, these games. I've played these games before. to help us, well, I guess it's like almost breadcrumbing, but like connect the dots, which is another game, right? So if you look at games here and the games that are played upon us or played with us, with and from the universe when we're co-creating, some of the games are really fun and really exciting, like geocaching. That is a type of game that we play here, but also when you follow signs and synchronicities, that's like geocaching spiritually, because you're like, oh yeah, this is a beautiful gift, and it makes so much sense because it correlates with this and that, and I had to like follow this trail to get there, right? Like I was playing with the universe one day and I was like, ooh, send me a sign of tulips or something like that, and all of a sudden there's some tulips. Or send me a sign of a ball. Like, it was so random. I was thinking like the play pit balls at like a Chuck E. Cheese or something, because I just saw these random colored balls in my mind. And during spiritual practice, they're like, yeah, just trust whatever comes to your mind. But again, that detail can be different, right? So I thought small balls, small playful balls. But as I was turning this corner after having this thought, literally in the middle of the street, empty street, no cars, no people, no nothing, and just sitting in the middle of the street was a freaking bright yellow tennis ball. And I'm talking, this is like not even 5 minutes after I decided to play this game with the universe. So I took that as a win and said, okay, thank you. Picked up the ball and off I went. So going deeper in why I'm having this channel, so fun, so funny. And at the time, not fun, not funny. Sometimes when you're playing games like Risk or Battleship, it can be intense. It can not be so fun, and it just kind of borders on the line of passionate. So this game this universe game that I thought, I was like, oh, okay. I'm from the 90s, and I'm all about the 90s. And this gentleman that I used to see a few years ago, again, he was like, well, he's only a couple of years younger than me, so he was born into through the 90s. We were both born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. That's how I should put it. So he was like an anchor for me to a lot of things. And I thought were things that I wanted, thought they were things that brought me joy and certain types of feelings. But honestly, once a person like authentically took that deep dive and was like, yeah, I remember that, and that's good remembrance of a time gone by, but that's a time gone by, and all that stuff doesn't really serve a person anymore. And especially in the context of which we were growing up, these things were escapes, like music and imagery and all this stuff, right? So that was I thought was an anchor, but it was really a reminder of coping mechanisms and such, I feel. I digress. So this person didn't have a regular job, and he had this thing that looked like a CD case, and it had Ace of Base, the sign on the front of it. And that was like, so if you're a kid of the 90s or grew up in the 90s, you know Ace of Base, and you know the song The Sign. It was like the song of a generation. The song of, I think it was like 94, 95, somewhere in there. Like the summer that it came out, and it just freaking blew up. Actually, that's really funny, because Ace of Base, like that CD in itself, was the very first CD I ever owned. Because when I was growing up, CDs were just coming out. They were the new thing. And it was the very first CD I ever owned. So I treasured that CD a lot. I listened to it a lot, knew everything word by word, right? So to flash forward like 20 some odd years later and meet this person and seeing this thing a lot, and then having these like anchoring attachments and reminiscence or whatever with him, it was just like a whole lot of stuff, right? And at first level, when I saw The Sign, and I was like, okay, haha, funny universe, you're funny. But yesterday I was driving around with my kid, and we were listening to some good jams, and The Sign came on, and I haven't heard that song in forever. So I was like, that brought me back to this thought pattern of, because like that relationship taught me a lot, it showed me a lot, and when it was over, oh man, like the grief period was insane. I've never grieved a relationship the way that I've grieved this relationship, aside from my own like family. And I've had a few relationships, right? And I was like, that's different. So, and I knew that this person wasn't good for me, and I wasn't good for this person. But regardless, we went through it, learned what we learned. I treasure the good times. I honor the bad times because they taught me so much, or honor the troublesome times. I guess they weren't so bad. But then in listening to the song again, oh my God, because I had forgotten part of the lyrics, right? And the song was all about like this relationship, or a past relationship, to which a person realizes, as much as they cared for this person and loved this person, that they were not the one for them. And there's a piece of the song, bring me up into the light where you belong. So when I had this relationship, it was like the beginning and the end of many things. It was the end of an old way, end of an old lifestyle, end of an old everything. But it was the beginning of this new world that I'm absolutely in love with, spiritualism and the learning of things and the nature of things and all these things. So the light, bring you up into the light. I was in a really, really dark place when I was with this person, and after we part ways and had that, burnout grief space or whatever, I pulled myself back up into the light, because that's where I wanted to be. And it was just so funny. So to wrap everything up, back to games, brings me to tears almost thinking about it, because it kind of brings a little bit of compassion maybe, or possibly some understanding to why we go through atrocities, or why there are people that hurt us or break our hearts, or even worse, right, in this world. Why is there so much triggering, or discord, or butting of the heads, right? But if you big picture it, and you imagine a heaven space or whatever, where all souls meet on the same ground, and there's, different groups of souls, they might not all be besties, but, there's really no animosity there. But how mind-blowing and beautiful and full of love would it be, like my example with this gentleman or whatever, if myself, this gentleman, and the few other players that happen to be playing at the same time as this relationship all had gotten together up there spiritually and was like, you know what? We're going to help each other. We're going to help each other grow. We're going to show up at this time, and we're going to put X, Y, and Z into action. And I don't know, in my brain, it's like one or the other or both would be like, I'm sorry ahead of time that, there's going to be things that I got to do that's going to trigger you, but it's for your highest good, it's for your best growth, and I just wish the best for you. And or like, what if so, like, I've experienced certain abuses to certain points, but not on the scale that a lot of people have. Either which way, I can't help but think sometimes that some of the people in my life that have caused the most pain, or what I felt caused the most pain, were those souls when we were making contract together that were just so beautiful and strong enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to be the villain in your story. I'm choosing that because I love you and I want you to grow. And I want to help you do that because I know that's what you want to. So I'm going to choose to show up as your biggest op, even though I'm your biggest fan. You know what I mean? Like, that's how different it seems or feels or works down here. So I can't help but have some kind of understanding for certain actions. Doesn't mean that they should be justified, doesn't mean they should be excused in any matter or whatever here while playing the game. But how beautiful is it to know that this world was designed, or this game was designed solely for you, for your growth, for you to play with, to explore, to be curious about, to all of it. Oh, so beautiful. I appreciate you. Have a great day.